Try this with me. Yai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, la, lai. That's it. Yai, lai, lai, la, lai, la, lai. Lai, lai, lai. Now here's the second part. Lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, 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 la, yai. Yai, 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 la, lai, la, lai. Lai, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, yai, la, yai. Yai, yai, la, yai. Yai, yai, la, lai, la, lai. Yai, yai, yai. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, friends. So good to see you all. And I am so excited that tonight we have with us, the extra blessing of somebody who's going to be going for the first time in his young, awesome existence to Israel. That's our friend, Cooper Solomon. Everybody snap a little bit. First, Cooper. We're so happy for you, Cooper. And also, I want to just note that Cooper is among the very rare species that not only grew up his entire life at Temple Israel, with his dad, Adam, now on our board, and we've put him on every possible committee. Watch out, Adam. But also, he is a gifted person who knows a lot about disabilities inclusion and has been teaching me a lot about what it means to exist in a world that feels very different, like you feel like the different one out. And, I think Jews are accustomed to that in a way, and we don't all look the same, and we don't all act the same, but we are, often called out, and there is something beautiful that Cooper is teaching me about how difference is beautiful and to be treasured and to be valued and lifted up, especially if you're a kid who has different special needs. So thank you for that, my friend. And now that I buttered you up, will you go light our candles for us? Thanks, Cooper. And
I remember when Cooper became a bar mitzvah, and we worked on the tabernacle. Remember, that was your, do you remember your terumah? And, I just remember, and now,
whichever one you want.
You're a young man.
Yeah. You remember your little mishkan that you made? Your little tabernacle? You have the perfect opportunity to make it up right here and now because I wasn't there. All right, so as we light the candles, if you'll just turn to people around you, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Wave to each other across the hall, down the way. Shabbat shalom, have a beautiful Shabbat of peace. Take a load off. Be comfortable. Everybody here is family.
We'll sing the blessing all together.
So let's wave.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shalom. And this is not intended for you to do anything else than this is going to guarantee your safe trip to Israel. If you give it as tzedakah, as charity to somebody, if the first person that you see needs it or asks, tell them it's from Temple Israel.
Yeah, I will.
All right, have a wonderful trip.
Thank you.
We can't wait to hear all about it.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Nesiya tova.
You're welcome.
Friends, you should have a siddur, a prayer book with you. And as Rabbi Mars and I were just discussing up on the Bima, this is a very special, every Shabbat is special, but this is a holy Shabbat of rest because it's before Hanukkah and it's before all of the silly season and big things happening. So we're all going to just take this beautiful Shabbat together and really get into the prayers. And one of the reasons why it's going to be a little wonderful and the word is balagan, a little craziness, is because next Shabbat, Friday night, we have a wonderful rabbi, musician in residence. Some of you were with us this past week when he came and taught us this beautiful prayer that we're about to sing. If we open our page, our Siddur to page 12, Rabbi Josh Warsharsky will be here with us next Shabbat, but we've been singing a lot of his melodies for our Kabbalat Shabbat prayers. And tonight we're going to start on page 12 with his L'chu Neranana. So this is like a little rehearsal for when he comes next Shabbat, and you're here to sing with us. But this is a beautiful new melody, which really is word painting, these words. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, and this is a very joyous melody. So you want to listen once and then join me. L'chu neranena l'Adonai, l'chu neranena l'Adonai. Now repeat. Naria, litzur yishenu lekama v'na betoda. Naria, naria. Litzur yishenu lekama v'na betoda. Bizmiro naria lo. We're going to do that all again. L'chu neranena l'Adonai. Try that. L'chu neranena l'Adonai. Now repeat after me. Naria, litzur yishenu lekama v'na betoda. Naria, naria, litzur yishenu lekama v'na betoda. Bizmiro naria lo, bizmiro naria lo,
So beautiful. And we are so lucky to have Brad and Bruce accompanying us tonight. Thank you, musicians. Thank you for being so musical when I was not.
They probably practiced a little bit.
I know,
They
I
were
think a
born
little-
musical,
few
I
lessons
believe that,
there.
but you know.
A few lessons. So let's join together on page 14. And next week, we're going to blow away Rabbi Warshawski with your all knowing that tune. That's going to be awesome. Reading together, page 14. Sing to Adonai a new song. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Sing to Adonai, bless God's name. Proclaim God's victory day after day. Tell of God's glory among the nations, God's wondrous deeds among all peoples. For Adonai is great and much acclaimed. God is held in awe by all divine beings. All the gods of the peoples are mere idols, but Adonai made the heavens. Glory and majesty are before God. Strength and splendor are in God's temple. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai, for God is coming. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its peoples in faithfulness. It almost makes you want to shout out and sing, doesn't it? Page 16, let's do exactly that.
Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor.
נהרות עמך וכף יחד הרים ירננו לפני אדוני קיווה לשפוט הארץ ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים במישרים ירם הים ומלואו תבל ויושביו נהרות עמך וכף יחד הרים ירננו יחד הרים ירננו. Beautiful. We turn to page 20 now for another special Lecha Dodi, Allah, Rabbi Josh. Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור דיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונדלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, הגיבה אורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. as we come now to page 26, Chatzi Kaddish, a little tiny pause before we go into our formal evening service.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbi Ve'amad yivrach l'rutei v'yamnig malchutei B'chayechon u'vyomechon Ufchayei telchol Beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala Uvizman kariv ve'yimeru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba mevorach Le'olam olam me'almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitbar v'yitroma v'yinaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei l'kudusha Brichu le'lam Yirku b'chata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma ve'imeru. Amen.
Please stand again, friends. Page 28, standing at full attention, giving life to this moment. If you've been asleep all week, Baruch Hu wakes you up to stand at attention and in attention for prayer. Page 31, friends, page 31. And at the bottom of the page, we will read together as we come to the evening prayer. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv ha'ravim. And on page 32, you know, these miracles that we experience without having to think about them. That's what these two paragraphs that we're reading, the Ma'ariv Aravim and that we just read in Ahavat Olam, these are how amazing is it that we have the physical world, which changes constantly without our having to do anything about it. And now this is the world of the mind and of creation that we're thinking of. The fact that we have been given the faculties to be able to receive Torah continuously learning. That is a human gift. Page 32, let's read this blessing together. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us, Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Page 36.
Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom alevavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Please turn to page 41. A little intro to Micha Mocha. Across the page, we read together. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Page 40. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh norah tehilot oseh norah tehilot oseh vele micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh malchutcha ra'u vanecha bokeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zeli anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'nemar כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני. גאל ישראל.
Page 42, Hashkivenu.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
Page 44, thanking God for Shabbat. V'shamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
Well, Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat
friends. A few moments, I'm stealing this line from the Cantor's son.
Uh-oh. Which
This
one?
is the one line you may not have heard yet from his Devar Torah when he has his bar mitzvah in a couple of weeks. He says this.
Uh-oh.
If you missed our last show on the Torah, so here we are watching the Torah.
That sounds like Zeke.
Doesn't that sound like him?
That sounds like Zeke.
Slightly in the best way dramatic, if you missed the Torah. So on our next episode, which is Parshat Vayishlach, this is the Torah portion. We've already been introduced to Yaakov, good old Jacob, who, when I gave my senior sermon in rabbinical school, I had a big beef with him. Big beef with Jacob, because I got Parshat Toldot, where he went and stole the blessing and the birthright from his brother Esau. I thought that was terribly unjust, and I was heartbroken by the line, Barcheni gam ani avi. He turns to his father. He turns to his father who's going blind, Yitzchak, Isaac, and he says, "Bless me too, Father." And he's like, "I'm sorry, I just gave that away to your brother Esau." And then he has to flee for his life, etc., etc. They come back together and are actually reunited, but in the meantime, Yaakov is not making a great name for himself so far, until, that is. Last week he went and thankfully, he had a dream, a sulam. It was a ladder angels going up and down from earth to heaven. And this week, there's another opportunity for him. He's got a lot of dreams in him, and that's why he passes it off to his son, Joseph, in a few weeks is going to be the star of the show on the program, the Torah. But you know, we're really right now having to deal with somebody. Why does this man have to lie, cheat, deceive his way into our hearts? Because there's always a foil. And the best foil is always when a person can change, right? When a person that we're watching being this lying, deceitful trickster becomes suddenly aware of his potential to change. Isn't that what we always want to see, right? Whenever there's a difficult person or somebody that we know is not living up to like, what would we do? What would the Holy One do in this life? And all of a sudden is kind of being schmutzy and not great, right? Then we think that he has to earn his way back into our good graces, as he should. And I think this week, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think he does. You know, he's wrestling with this mysterious ish this week. An angel, a man, we're not quite sure. The word ish means person in Hebrew, but it's a mysterious being. There are some traditional commentators that say, actually, that ish was an agent of his brother Esau, who he's going to reconcile with, but was actually, what he's actually doing is he's wrestling with the problematic part of himself that he does not like very much, and I, as I have already identified, do not like in him. I don't like that part of himself. I'd rather see my ancestors being these, revealed as saintly. Wouldn't we all like that? But that's not what we get. We get a version of an imperfect person who has to change. So what does it take for us to change within ourselves, right? How do we become expansive and somehow more spacious than we've become, right? Because we can say that in the midst of needing to change, in whatever way, and I'm being very vague so you can think of your own places and maybe boundaries and limitations, we all have them, even I. Hard to believe. But, we all have that. So how do we press those boundaries and make room for a better self to come in, as Jacob does when he becomes Yisrael? After he wrestles with that angel, he has a new lease on life. Last week he woke up and he said, God was in this place and I didn't know it. Ma norah hamakom hazeh. This is an amazing thing. And this week he says, he's told by the angel, the ish, the man, you, sir, are no longer Jacob. You are instead Yisrael, meaning Israel, Gesundheit, meaning he who wrestles with God. So if he is Yisrael, then we are all Yisrael. We are God wrestlers. And that means, and I'm sorry to take you out of that beautiful, whimsical place that I just took you, we're God wrestlers. So when we have to change, when we have to grow and be expansive, we've got God there who's helping us push those boundaries, expand, change. And this is an important thing in a world where we might not see change the way that we want it to. How long have we been talking in this country about racism? Do we see the boundaries being expanded so much in our country so that racism is no more? Not yet. Maybe we'll get there. Sexism, yes, same, right? We're getting there, but change is very, very slow. Even with, and here's where I bring you down from that little cloud that I was, even when we look at the current state of our beloved Israel today, the state of Israel, right? And it's important for us to consider ourselves as Yisrael so that we can look at Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel. How do we push it? This is my question for you. How do we push this place that we love so much to be as expansive and growth-filled as we know it can be? As we know it can be. There is a revelation that comes This is so beautiful that when Jacob comes to terms with that part of himself that he knows has to change, he says in this week's parsha, oh, I was wrestling in Peniel. That place I wrestled was called Peniel. I saw God face to face and survived. Because when we change, right, there's something of a divine encounter. What pushes us to go there? Maybe if we feel like God is there with us, we can go there. And when he reconciles with Esau the next day in the Torah portion, what does he say? Looking into the face of his brother. He says it's like looking at Pnei Elohim, the face of God. There's something about that face that seems to be told in this week's Parsha, Vayishlach, in Genesis. Don't forget the face. Something really essential about seeing the face of the other. And so I wonder what it means to be Yisrael in our day. It's important for us always to know that we have to wrestle. And trust me, on a Friday night for me to talk about doing anything like standing up, it's pretty hard. But we know we have to wrestle, especially since there is now a new government that's been formed in Israel. And I heard that, Izzy. I heard that. It's hard. It's hard. Rabbi Arik Asherman is from an organization called Torat Tzedek. It keeps its eye on Israel in a loving way and is also critical of whatever human rights things are happening, violations that can happen anywhere in and around Israel, calls them out. That in and of itself for some Jews is very controversial. Because why? Think about it, right? When I hear anybody saying anything about Israel, on a global level, I hear the BBC or the New York Times or anybody, any outlet, I get immediately prickly. Don't you talk about Israel. Because you know what? I got a stake in that place. Because I'm a God wrestler, and I know that we are trying so hard to make this place exactly what we want it to be. What do we say in Hatikva? We should be able to go to that place. Liot am chofshi. This is the place where we are going to be a free people. That's what the Israeli national anthem says. We get to be a free people here, and you know what? We can't really be free anywhere else in the world. Where else can you have stores with Hebrew on them that close on Shabbat, and then some parts of Tel Aviv that are going crazy on Friday night? I mean, that's what a Jewish state is supposed to be, right? All of that. And this is what Arik Asherman says, we now have, with this new government coming on, openly and knowingly voted for extremist advocates of massive human rights violations towards non-Jews, the LGBTQ community, non-Orthodox religious Jews, and women. And, he notes, the first finance minister will be an open advocate of neoliberal policies violating the human rights of Israeli Jews living in poverty. Doesn't matter what end of the spectrum you're on, right? Whether you're super conservative or you're super liberal, in the state of Israel, there are things that we can object to here. When all people are not being treated, right, B'Tselem Elohim, under the image of God. It's so much more complicated than that, but I feel like we have to be able to answer for that. As lovers of Israel, Ohavei Yisrael, we're lovers of Israel as a state, as a land, and as a people. So how do we imbibe that? You know where I'm going with this, because every time I talk about Israel from the pulpit, I say, loving Israel is a Jewish value, and so is being lovingly critical of the state of Israel, a Jewish value. So it is something that we come from a place of privilege, which I admit that I'm sitting here calling out Israel on its human rights violations, when here I am in my nice little swanky, Columbus shul. And I feel safe, thank God, and I feel comfortable saying this, but I don't live in Israel. So my privilege is really showing I can critique something that is very far away from me. And I even have the chutzpah as your rabbi to maybe talk to you about this from the pulpit and possibly influence you. But we love Israel and we want Israel to be a Jewish and democratic state. Abe Fox, Foxman, who is the head of the Anti-Defamation League, recently said that he said, "I never thought that I would reach the point where I would say that my support of Israel is conditional." That's quite a thing for the ADL former head to say. And it's quite a thing to have to admit that we have certain conditions by which we are Ohavei Yisrael. And at the same time, don't fall asleep on me because I'm going somewhere, I promise. At the same time, we have a spike in anti-Semitism that we have not seen in our generation, right? Maybe our elders have. Certainly those folks who have lived through the 30s and 40s in this room and beyond know what it was like as the Holocaust was, ensuing. So how do we hold that at the same time, right? At the same time that I want to love Israel and love being Jewish, I'm also fearful what's happening within Israel, what could happen to the state of Israel if enough of the world says, no, 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 that is not okay. And right here in our own beautiful America, we have worries about a spike in anti-Semitism. So we look to the Parsha and we ask, if we see the moment that Jacob is wrestling, the key moment, as Rabbi Josh Weinberg of Artza, which is the Jewish, the Reform Movement's supportive organization for Israel, Josh Weinberg says that we have to note the fact that not only did Yisrael, Jacob, wrestle, but he got up again. And when he got up, he was changed. So he says the following: "We are afforded the privilege to wrestle with God because we, like Yaakov, aren't allowed simply to walk away or conditionalize our participation." This is underscored by A.B. Yoshua, who's an Israeli writer. He said this, and I love both of these images that he brings, okay? So hold on to one of them. "For me," he says, "Jewish values are not located in a fancy spice box that is only opened to release its pleasing fragrance." You're thinking about Havdalah now, right? Think about that, I want Havdalah Judaism. I want it to smell sweet, to taste sweet, all the spices and sensations that you get at Havdalah at the end of Shabbat with that little ceremony. He says, Jewish values are not located in a fancy spice box that is only open to release its pleasing fragrance on Shabbat and holidays. Instead, he says, but in the daily reality of dozens of problems through which Jewish values are shaped and defined, for better or worse. Even more to the point, he says this: American Jewish identity was like a jacket that could be taken on and off, while Israeli Jewish identity is like skin that cannot be removed. Being Yisrael today, he says, is the choice to see one's identity as skin and not a jacket, regardless of where one lives. I really like that. And if you feel uncomfortable in your skin, you should be, is what Rabbi Weinberg is saying. We kind of have to live with this discomfort and not be scared to talk about it. Not be scared to talk about it, but to educate ourselves and be willing to say, you know what, I understand this government that's going to be starting up in Israel maybe does not align with necessarily all of my values. However, I am not going to dislocate myself from that important conversation. I'm not going to remove myself until things get better. I'm not going to step away. And I really do feel like BDS, the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement, while being a nonviolent movement, is very insidious. That's the problem, is that there's sort of latent anti-Semitism under there. And I feel like we can do better if we honestly just engage on a real level about what's concerning and how we might do better and stay engaged. We might even, when we have opportunities to vote from here as Americans about what's happening with the reform movement in Israel, speak up. If you feel passionate about this and you want to belong to AIPAC or J Street or whoever, do it. I'm looking at you, Gordon, I know. So, but you know what? We have we have this really important obligation. And Israel may take the back seat for part of the time, but I just want us to be prepared for when it takes the front driver's seat for the world, so that we're not timid when it comes to talking about this and sharing our dreams of what Israel can be and about what the Jewish people are, which is a people that wrestles, gets up, and is changed, and walks forward and is that light to the rest of the world. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. I think that's our cue to rise.
Yes, it is.
We need to stand up.
Yeah.
Please join us on page 46 for our Amidah prayer. Shkoach. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Page 48.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Chozer Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah.
Page 50.
Atah gibor ne'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav lehoshia, Mashif haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofer cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidome lach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umasmiach Yeshua, v'ne'emanata lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol.
Page 52.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Continuing silently through page 62 or 63, be seated whenever your personal prayer is complete.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai 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 lai 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 lai, yai yai yai.
Turning in our prayer books to page 253, we now keep our hearts open to those people who may need healing. And that could be you, that could be anybody you know. Let's sing together, page 253.
Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength
ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Tell us who you're thinking of tonight. Say their names out loud. Who needs healing? We add the names Lev Heschel ben Batami v'Yakov, Necha bat Sarah Rivka, Chana Ruth bat Chana v'Theodor, Aaron David ben Pialea, Harav Tuvia Levi ben Yosef Tzvi HaKohen Ubatya, Harav Reuven Shlomo ben Mendel, Naomi bat Miriam v'Harav Yosef, Miriam bat Simcha v'Shifra, Reuven Avraham ben Mordechai v'Ada, Eliana Shai bat Benjamin v'Shiralea, Gavriela bat Nehemiah Devora, Rachel Shifra bas Chava Ruth, Rivka bat Avigdor v'Libi. We are thinking of Rachel Devora, Jerry Bain, Kayla bat Pesha, Brandon Berman, Becky Cottle, Pat Cottle, Lee Conkle. We're thinking of Barbara Cooper Schaefer, David Dockner, Larry Footer, Elaine Dank-Friedman, Karen Gillen, Lou Gorey, Warren Grove, Suzanne Greenbaum, Roz Greenberg, Annette Harris, Kiana Greenwald. Praying for Ethan Kadish, Jeff Cape, Jesse Cloth, Kaya Cloth, Jerry Cruz, Marilyn Lassen, Cheryl Logan, Marilyn Mendelman, Maddie Osborne, Anthony Paneth, Clark Patton, David Schulman, Eva Simons, Harriet Darrow Sobolewski, Bernie Spire, Carol Stoff, Annette Turner, and Luca Zutchman. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. For all those people we mentioned and all others, refuah shlema, total healing.
Amen.
Turn with us, friends, to page 282. Please rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגויי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 287.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated, everyone. We turn to page 294 now. Excuse me. We turn to page 94, and we are remembering those people who are so dear to us. They may have passed away more recently. They may have died a long time ago. In any event, their spirit is here with us. Their memory touches us just like the air we breathe. It's so present. So tonight, we are conscious of everyone in their various stages of mourning. If you're joining us tonight, if you've just lost somebody within the last 7 days, if you'll please rise and say the name of the person for whom you're saying Kaddish. If you're joining us during the 30 days after having lost somebody you love, we remember in that period Lori Jaresko. If you are remembering somebody tonight and saying Kaddish for someone who's died within the past year, if you'd please rise so we can recognize your loss. We are with you. And tonight is the yard site, the anniversary for the following loved ones' deaths. You'll stand as your loved one's name is recited. Cherie Becker, Milton Blank, Harry Coffey, Reuben Dunn, Hugo Applebaum, Bessie Schomer Folkman, Norman Ellis Fulp, Stephanie Goldberg, Rose Halpern, Lois Hoffheimer, Arthur J. Isaac Jr., Letty Lewis Johnson, Alvin Kahan, Lillian R. Kalish, Thomas Kaplan, Sanford, Kastner, Florence Kaufman, Molly Kelter, Samuel Claren. We also remember Leonard W. Cohn, Simon Lazarus I, Karen Levine, Gilbert Levine, James Lifter, Ruth Longard, Howard Lubo, Esther Mayer, Walter Mayer, Earl Merwin, Blanche V. Opper, Shirley Rosenfeld Rose, Samuel Rosenfeld, Bertha Rubin, Francis P. Sachs, Edward M. Stern, Evelyn Weinberg, Ruth Isaacs Weinfeld, Donald M. Weiss, and Larry Zipser. We're so glad that you are here to be able to remember them. We look around this room, we hold you in our hearts, and we stand together with you as we turn as one congregation to page 294 and say the sacred words of Kaddish Yatom together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bi'olma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal. Shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'olma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace bring peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who grieve. Zichronam livracha, remember them, hold them in your hearts, let them inspire you to do mitzvot, acts of loving kindness, and we say, amen.
Amen.
Please be seated, friends.
So we have a lot going on in the next couple of weeks, as I mentioned, starting with tomorrow, with a Tat Shabbat happening, and our 8th and 9th graders meeting for some Shabbat bagels and chesed activities.
Where are you guys going tomorrow?
Well, I'm taking the 9th graders to the Hilltop Worship Community Center.
Great.
And Rabbi Klein is taking the 8th graders on some caverns, Jewish teaching in a cavern.
Jewish spelunking,
like Rabbi
like. Yeah.
Yochai.
Shimon Bar Yochai.
Shimon Bar Yochai. Anyway, so we have lots going on, and then on Sunday, I see some religious school friends back there.
Oh,
yeah, we're gonna have our big pre-Hanukkah celebration, and then next Shabbat, please join us Friday night for our big latke party up. And while she is being Vanna White up there, we want to thank Ruth Silverman for all of her help, not just for this Shabbat, but for organizing that amazing latke party that we're going to have next week. If you have not yet registered, you need to register to have a latke. So please go to our website and register to bring in Hanukkah a week early with us. And what else, Ruth? Oh, yes. Yes, I am doing a concert with my friend Bruce here. December 20th, Tuesday morning, we'll have some concert and brunch, a Hanukkah concert, but also some, of your favorite musical theater hits from your Cantor. And what else? So much else going on. So just to check out our website, join us. a blessed, safe Hanukkah and, blessings for 2023. What can I say?
Yeah, lift a glass
Let's
for
raise
that.
a glass to that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodeshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Do check out also, we have so many collection drives happening right now.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Apparently, you people care a lot. And that is good news for all the folks who are in need this cold, chilly winter that is coming. We hope that you'll just pay attention to our website for that as well.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Can I just tell you one more thing really quickly?
Of course.
The bakers of this challah were just written up in Bake magazine.
Oh, that's right.
I know.
It's amazing.
So it's good stuff. If you're written up in Bake, thanks
we'll
first.
conclude with the singing to the angels as they escort us to our Shabbats. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Sharon, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Nilei Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
You got to check out the dancing in the aisle here.
Zetchem L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
If we don't know you, will you come up and introduce yourselves to us so we can wish you a personal Shabbat shalom?